Nick, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you think Pittsburgh, you think about the old traditions. You think about the steel curtain defense. You think, nitty gritty football, hard hitting, just a real culture has been built in Pittsburgh. And when you think about players that fit that culture or seem like a true Pittsburgh Steeler, I'm definitely looking at a guy like Payton Wilson that they picked up, who I think is a really great looking Steeler. He fits the bill, and some of the words that he has said in a recent interview really makes you, just think, man, we really scored. If this guy can stay healthy, we're going to have a monster on our hands. Let's get into the article and we can talk more about it on the other side. This is from NBC Sports. It says injury issues help linebacker Payton Wilson slide to the third round of the draft, but the Steelers rookie isn't letting his knee or shoulder problems temper his aggressiveness. Wilson racked up 402 tackles during his time at North Carolina State, and he explained why he's around the ball so often during an appearance on new teammate Cam Hayward's Not Just Football podcast. He said, I like to take people's heads off, and I like to fly around with the best of them. If there's 75 plays, I'm the kind of person that wants to make 75 tackles, whatever it is, Wilson said via Steelers Depot. That's just how I've played. Grew up very blue-collar area, grew up wrestling, so that mentality has kind of been instilled in me my whole life. Like, I don't know when I'm out there and someone's got the ball in their hands, I want to hit them so bad. I want to be the first person there every single time. Nick, this guy seems like he was born to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's got that dog in him. He wants to attack on every play. I love what he's saying. I'm curious what your thoughts are about this guy. But Steelers fans, in the comment section below, if you were to compare Payton Wilson to a linebacker of Steelers long ago, or, maybe not that long ago either, who does he remind you of the most? Just not even necessarily his stature, but mentality-wise. Who do you think is a good comp for Payton Wilson out of the Steelers linebackers? Let us know in the comment section below. But Nick, what are your thoughts on Payton Wilson's comments here?
Look, I think obviously his production in college at NC State was incredibly high. Obviously, a number of tackles despite injury issues and concerns that he battled through. But his mentality, his statement, his energy, his demeanor is just 100% perfect for what the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to go back to on defense. And while the Steelers' defense last year was far from terrible, they weren't really Steeler-esque, right? They finished 16th in terms of tackling, according to PFF, and 24th in terms of run defense, again, according to PFF. That's not going to get it done, certainly not Pittsburgh Steelers' standard of defense that we've come to expect. And look, having great interior linebackers, I think, has always been the backbone of Pittsburgh. Right? It's just who they are as a team, it's who they are as a culture, and frankly, it's who they are as a city and a community. It's one of those things that it doesn't get enough credit, but the reality is there are some teams in the National Football League that have a certain defined culture that when they steer into, they get more successful. The Pittsburgh Steelers having blue collar, tough, physical, downhill, aggressive, hyper competitive linebackers is one of those examples, right? It's the same thing with like the San Francisco 49ers being a little bit more methodical, being more deliberate, being just really smart and scheme oriented, right? That's their style. They're not blue collar, they're not tough. They're really just they're smart and creative. It goes back to the Bill Walsh days in San Francisco, right? You have the Dallas Cowboys that are just all about like glitz, glamour, showmanship. Whether they win or lose, it's going to be some form of entertaining. And that's who they are. That's their culture. That's what they buy into. The 49ers are more successful when they buy into that mindset of using scheme and smarts. The Cowboys, even when they're not doing as great as they would like to, they still win a lot of games when they buy into the glamour and the show business and all of that. The Pittsburgh Steelers win, and at least historically it's been so, and I think the future will be the same when they have tough blue collar mentality on defense. And as talented guys they have, like Hayward, like Watt, like Minka Fitzpatrick, others as well, I think they were missing that one guy, right? They've always had, I think, I look at a James Ferrier way back in the day. You can obviously go back to the 90s with the Blitzburg crew. I look at Greg Lloyd was an all-time great. And then you go into the Steel Curtain, of course, even further into the past to the 1970s. When the Steelers have been really good and making Super Bowl runs, they have that super nasty, hyper competitive throwback style interior linebacker, and they've got it in Payton Wilson. I think this was a steal for the Steelers to get in terms of value, getting him in the third round. But in terms of his demeanor, his mentality, he is literally exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers need to help shore up that defense.
Yeah, Nate, and I think this guy's just great because he comes from the South. He's, just a real blue collar type of guy. I know you know this growing up with brothers. I know this growing up with a brother. Just he grew up with two brothers, and they're all competitive. They're all athletes. It just sounds like a guy who just grew up They're always competing, they're always wrestling, they're always fighting. This is a guy who just to his core, he loves to compete. And like he said, he wants to be the first one there every single time. It sounds like an older brother to me, but this is a guy who has to win every play. And you love that because he's not. The reality is he's not going to win every play. He gets pretty close, but he's not going to win every single play. But that mentality, like you said, that thought process, that is what separates a good player from a really great player. Because like you said, having, physical attributes and things like that, those are all great. But having that mentality, that's the special part. We've talked about this numerous times over the last weeks and months, even leading up into the draft, just saying the mentality is something you can't coach. We've talked about it, a guy that's, always hyper aggressive, you can dial that back with coaching, but you can't teach the hyper aggressiveness in the first place. And that is why I love this guy, Payton Wilson. I wish him the most success because I think this is a guy we can see out on the field for Pittsburgh for a long time, doing a lot of great things if he can stay healthy for this team. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, even your relatives. It's all out there. That's why we use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows us which data brokers are selling our information and automatically submits opt-out requests for us.
Cleaning up our information not only reduces the amount of that stupid spam we all get, but it also protects us from hackers who could use this information to help them access our social media accounts, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also does much more to protect us and our families from online threats. We also get features like antivirus protection, VPNs, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. That's really key. One location, get all this great stuff. It's really easy to set up. And the best of all, we get everything at one affordable price.
And you may already have one or two of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work to keep you safe so you can focus on other tasks and have peace of mind. We value our privacy and we value yours. You can go to aura.com/Saturday to start your 2-week free trial. Also, link below in the description. Again, aura.com/Saturday for your free 2-week trial.